What's popular, YouTube? Another day, another demo. Today, I was going to reserve specifically to do a video on Zipix, aka Zypex, aka Zipnix, aka no one can agree on how to pronounce his name. The mastermind behind clutching on Astralis, the guy who hasn't played a LAN in a year and a half and has come back for blood, the guy who got Astralis into playoffs. But instead, Astralis had to announce a new player. Let's take a look.
Do you know my name? Do you know my name? Yeah, my name is.
Hey guys, I'm Lucky, and I'm the new Opa for Astralis. Vielleicht das gerade Gitarre. Dude, Lucky.
So who is Lucky? I don't know. I've never I've never watched a game that he's played in. He's a player who has come from Tricked, who of course are a very solid team, but not a tier 1 team. They're just a team that have been floating around in the Danish scene that have been able to pull out some strong wins here or there, but they're not a tier 1 team. They're not in a sponsored league or partnered leagues. They're not in I think it came out of Advanced, ESEA Advanced, Tricked in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I have that correct. This is all to say, if you are a CSGO enthusiast and maybe you bet on CS or you watch a lot of CS, you're probably familiar with teams at this level, because a lot of the teams at this level are very strong. They're just not the tier 1 yet. Tricked are one of them, Singularity or another. And in this scene, there are tons of talent out there. There's a lot of players that people have been looking at. But in the case of Lucky, that sounds so bad. But in the case of Lucky, the thing is that I heard that this is true. Okay, that first of all, that Lucky was not the first player to get the invite to call up to Astralis. That I heard that both Acor and Farley, maybe another player, like it was mentioned here, I heard that this was true, that they did turn down the offer from Astralis, and this gave a way for Lucky to get a potential offer to sign. And I'm saying that not to take away from Lucky as a player, but mostly to draw attention to the fact that, yeah, it would be a little bit harder for a player to come out of Advanced to have not played any Tier 1 officials. So I'm sure they played some versus Tier 1 scrims. I'm sure he scrimmed with Astralis and stuff like that, to get a chance to play on the biggest Danish org at a very sensitive time where the team is looking to rebuild after having lost device to NIP. Does that mean he'll be a bad pickup? Of course it doesn't mean that. We have no idea what he'll look like fitting into the team in a long term, playing on Astralis after only having experience on Tricked. I'm sure there's potential here, but I would say when we think about someone like Acor or Farley, I can think of problems with those offers. I personally don't think Acor or Farley will ever be as good as Device, but I don't. And even though Lucky is probably not as good as either Acor or Farley right now, because he doesn't have the same level of experience or results versus the same level of competition, I don't know that he's not or couldn't be as good as some elite opera in the future. So on the upside to that, at least, there's the thought that maybe he could be that good. And I know this is a bit of a stretch because, again, we just don't have that much data, but at least on the upside for me, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm not really sure. I know there's some problems with A-Core, for example. Not really confident that A-Core is an elite level upper, even though he's got elite, probably the best mechanics of any upper. I feel like sometimes he doesn't look like he's got like a perfect inventory of where everyone is, and that he's like totally comfortable in a round and stuff. So I have some red flags there. And with Farley, I see some inconsistency. I've seen some games where I'm like, this guy gets it. Like, he's got it. Like, he's sick. He's super consistent. And then some periods of time where I'm not so sure. So with a big question mark like Lucky, we wonder what can he bring to the table. We're going to watch a Dust 2 demo because that is Dust 2 CT side. It's, one of Device's signature spots on the team is to play Carr as an A side of the map upper, and just see what his role looked like on Tricked, and if there's anything to compare to. But I would also like to say in CSGO news right now, before I get too off the rails, Glaive has been announced to sign with Astralis again for 3 years. Now, I've heard that a lot of people are unhappy within the Astralis organization. These are the rumors that have gone around. We've all heard this for a long time. But Astralis, of course, still the biggest brand in Denmark by far. They are the team that has the best coach in the world and the best IGL of all time, and they've got tons of talent. Glaive isn't going anywhere. He just signed to stay onto the team. There's a rumor that maybe Zonic will potentially leave, and there's probably some stuff that is true now that might not be true in a couple months. We'll have to stay tuned and see with Astralis. One of those things that was a real wild card was Lucky coming in, for example. But what we saw at IEM Cologne was the fact that, first of all, players like Glaive and Zipix were waiting for land. Like, they were waiting for land. They came right back to their level and went even farther in some of their games. They were insane. They also made a playoffs run, which is, I think, significant because they had their first non-playoff exit at an event recently. I believe at IEM Summer 9th through 12th, which was like their worst showing in some time. So that was like, even here, I think this is the Blast Premier Spring Showdown, which is a best of 3 single elimination. So not quite the same level of result as this is double elimination. They got eliminated 9th through 12th. And we could see it's been a long time since anything like that has taken place. They're clearly better again. They're a serious threat at Cologne. They got 3rd through 4th. I thought they looked super good. And yeah. Now the question is, well, okay, Lucky's coming onto the team, and they had a clear composition problem between Bubsky, Magic, Glaive, Dupree, and Zipix, with an overemphasis on aggressive riflers, an underemphasis on an opper, and also a very well-rounded, composed, relaxed, confident star player opper like Device. But they still made play. They left Device in the dust over on NIP with their run, with Astralis' run at IEM Cologne. So they did a lot with very little, and I think that speaks to how good Glaive is. And I was saying, I think it's very important, just as important to Glaive's story with Device going to NIP as it is to Device's story going to NIP, right? If Glaive wants to be a competitor and compete, and I've heard there's nothing more that he's wanted to do, then there's nothing else that he wants to do more than compete as a CSGO professional, which is great for all of us because we get to watch more years of Glaive. His story is also one that we have to talk about as a player who was playing with Device, a top 5 player for the last 6 years, or 5 years or 6 years, with 4 majors, with Device getting the MVPs, with Device at the stats leader on the team. Can he call and create a solid system without Device? And I think he proved something at Cologne. And Device hasn't really looked that great. He doesn't look that like himself. I'd say Device has definitely clearly improved the team, and the team is probably extra motivated to get better, and NIP look more solid. It's not like they're losing more or anything, but individually, not that sick, right? Device hasn't been that sick. So the question is, who are they going to cut? I clicked on Bubsky just to take a peek. I really don't. It doesn't, to me, I don't really, when I see Bubsky play, I've seen nothing but great performances. Like overall, I feel like he's been really strong. I think he's obviously got so much more to show in his career, and his ceiling is quite high. And I heard Zipix might retire. I heard I heard there's obviously rumors about Magic. I don't really know if those are true or anybody else, but I heard there's potential for Zipix to stop playing. But ever since the I Am Cologne, the land, I'm not sure. Maybe I feel like maybe they want to stick it out. But if he's going to replace someone, Bubsky would be the natural replacement because the rest of the team stays the same, and then they get the Opera in. But I feel like that would be messed up and a big shame, to be honest. I don't really know what to make of this in terms of who is actually going to be the replacement. He knows. Zonic knows. Casper Witt knows, or whatever that guy's name is. Everyone on the team probably knows. I don't know. We're just here to see if Lucky is going to be a good opper and if he'll be able to fill in the gaps in the same way that Device did. Lucky plays on native. So get over it, because we're watching this demo on native. That's right. You heard that correct. An opper playing on native. Lucky walked so you could run, okay? Anytime that you ever miss a shot playing on native as an opper on your team and your teammates tell you you need to change to 1280 by 960, you need to play 1024 black bars, you could tell them, Lucky just got onto Astralis opping on native. Ratio. Say it like that. He's breaking ground. Just like how Rops has converted 9% of the CSGO population to switch over to rifle on native, Lucky is here to get everybody to switch over to native to op. You walk so you can run. I think you heard one on Cat. That might have been nades that we heard on my screen, but okay, maybe not. You know how much I hate watching Dust 2 demos, because one of my favorite things to do in life is overanalyze, right? So when I watch Dust 2, there's nothing more demoralizing than being like, this was a cool idea, and this was the reason they did this, and this was the coordination of the team play. Look at the rotation and the reaction and shit. And then you get like a listen into team comms, or you ask a player what they were thinking, and they're like, we had a long spawn. Because that's what this map is at the end of the day. It's a series of getting long spawns or not getting long spawns. But the reason I wanted to watch this is I was thinking, what would be... First of all, I wanted to watch a good map from him. You know, what's a day where he's feeling like he's looking good, he's feeling good, he's fragging, and then take a spot that he'll probably replace Device on in almost all the same ways. And I was thinking, the car opper on CT side of Dust 2. That's like one of Device's signature spots. His efficacy is obviously very high playing in this position, and it's what makes it difficult and what makes it hard, complicated. It was a very nice AK, by the way, or a very nice FAMAS with these stickers. What makes it complicated or makes it difficult, what the challenge is basically dodging flashes, right? Recognizing what kind of execute is coming your way, and then finding gaps to find op shots. And one thing Device is very good at doing is hitting that very, hard to hit shot on elbow in the middle of two flashes, or figuring out how much space to give up, or when to look into CT spawn when someone drops. So I'm not here to say this is the exact idea that we're going to watch from Lucky and how he responds to different types of aggression. But I just want to see what it looks like from his perspective, and how much efficacy he has in moments where there might be a cat exec coming his way. So that's really why I want to watch this demo. Okay, a brave angle there from Lucky. I'd be lying if I said I was expecting that to come up with a bunch of kills, but they had to try make something happen. I guess he could have got a kill and fallen off there, but okay, this is a USP round. Let me go ahead on to the next. They almost were able to convert. The op comes out. Nice skins on Lucky. I appreciate it. We've lost an opening duel. A B-hop. The suicide boost pick. And some of the stuff, because I don't know anything about Singularity really either, some of the stuff can be preparation moves. You know, where does the opera like to pick from very often? Does he spend a lot of time in suicide, jumping up on the boxes? Is he somebody who sits in spawn for a long period of time? You know, is it James? Is it whoever? And you might play those percentages. Like if I did watch those demos, or I had looked at the heat maps or some of the raw data, and I was lucky and I saw this about an opera, my analyst told me, then I would say, okay, I might hold this angle a little bit longer than I would in a pug or versus some random team I don't know how the opera plays. I might take this risk because of team tendencies, right? So, okay, cross smokes come out. This is a point in the round, by the way, where first of all, it's 3v3, and I don't know what the nades look like for all the team, everyone on the team, but obviously Lucky doesn't have any nades here. But this is typically the point where you're trying to put pressure on the cross. Like you're either trying to molly and remolly default, or you're nading the cross, or you're spamming the smoke down to try to get some damage off. 3v3 is not so bad to try to simply go for a retake, but it's still not a winning. It's still not a winning retake, especially with a long plant, no long player coming in CT side. So in the tier 1, most people are putting a ton of pressure from CT side in positions like this to attack the default plant, attack the ramp, and it looks really messy, but because of the amount of times that teams are literally going 5 out long and then chilling and then just running up and committing to the plant, it's called for CTs to get kind of aggressive to try to get as much damage as possible off while the bomb is going down. But again, I don't know what kind of nades we're working with here between his two teammates, with one in CT spawn. But it looks like they've slowed it down. There's that HE pressure. And finally they get the kills. Singularity could not get onto the side, and it looks like maybe... Okay. Yeah, that's all done with. Actually, it's a 2-op setup here. Played it nice and calm. We didn't really see what would happen if they needed to call on the help of Lucky in that situation. This is the moment where I like the freeze frame in my mind. I'm like, okay, we're sitting here. I'm like hoping the cat exec comes. We get like a more standard play. Mid is wide open. It's a re-smoke for the door for his teammate. They take a walkout mid with the up. And I think they have either... I don't know if there was another... There's probably an op in B. They smoke mid B. He's got a teammate jump spotting the door. And without mid control... Okay, this is a really big kill, of course, from Singularity, because maybe this is the guy who's always mid B on this team, so... You know that you can really fuck with your opponents right now, right? Because you know there's probably no one closed doors or whatever. You've already cleared out closed doors. There's no one in CT spawn. You're 5v4, and there's no middle of the map control. So the perfect thing you want to do is throw like any nades, because you know that they're not going to get hard cleared, right? You know no one's going to jump through that mid B smoke. That the teammate that was crossfiring from the B side is like in the B site. So this is a perfect opportunity to like throw any nades basically to mess with your opponents. They actually just commit out to the mid B, so I don't think there's any counterplay left in this round. Yeah, just no chance to get back into it, so we'll have to move on to the next. So unfortunately, a couple situations where there's just no way for Lucky to be useful. The best thing he could do, and the best thing he did do in both these spots, is save. That's a very nice pick over top of the smoke. Brave from Larson to chill and wait for that one, but... I honestly see a lot of teams on both sides participate in those duels. I think that was a situation where his teammate peeked too early on the flash that went over. It did land kind of directly in front of the window. And let's see if we can get anything out of this. This would be tough. Okay, but Kier gets a kill. So I was going to say it's going to be tough because of the lack of nades, but they can molly car, and then they can double up, go in window. If they'd like to, one's under window in this spot, and there's one to post up. They could basically stick the bomb in this spot. Nice kill from Lucky, and that's the one they needed. Just in time as well. 2 HP, and they clutch it out. It's like a good retake. They obviously are only allowed to get that retake because they get the kill from tunnel. Otherwise, they would have been quite long grenades to make that possible. Another opening kill here in middle early for Singularity. But this time, Lucky is a bit closer to the action, so let's see how Singularity move. That's a nice frag. Very, very low amount of time to react to that. Just saw a pair of legs, pair of pants floating. Oh, punished on the what Maniac was calling in the green room a couple weeks ago, the dolphin peak. Couple of quite fast shots here from Mr. Lucky. Native Opper's eyebrows raise. Maybe I can do it too. And now all the 16-10 players on Astralis can not get 16-10'd if Lucky is spectating them. Okay, I was hoping you'd get that one. Okay, that was a good round. That was just a showcase of basically very, very fast shots. Like, there's a spot where Xbox is smoked, but Lucky finds a gap. That's kind of what I'm looking for personally. It's not that deep on Dust 2. You've just got to be able to... The map, it's so perfected in terms of like what you can deny, what space you can deny, how many gaps you get. You just don't get that many gaps. So finding the gaps, I think, is everything. And honestly, I thought that Glaive did a great job. I won't lie. I thought Glaive did a great job opping. I like the way that he was opping. I feel like he was playing aggressively for those gaps. Okay. There's variety on the opening kills. And we've got a strong setup with a lower guy dead, and they can push the top mid and just chill if they want to, flank if they want to. This is probably a spot where, I feel like the rotations are a little bit slow considering the information they have, but they don't need them to come out right away. And then here's where, again, I think you try to layer your grenades. Maybe moves. I would have moved. Maybe he could have come out with a long flank there, and it would have been great. But Singularity very slow to put the bomb down in these situations. I guess they're quite worried after that first Molotov came down, and we'll see if anybody jumped off the site or not. They're just kind of fingers crossed, hoping that you've done the damage you need. Yeah, it looks like that did have some impact. There was still one player on default, and this is all they need to worry about. Surely it's like a long plat player, pit player, something like that, right in the smoke. No counterplay available. That round was won once it got to a 3v1. Well done. Nothing bad to say about that. Plus the opening kill to take the edge off. And they crush on this hold. Let's see what the move is. Jumping up on top of Xbox or just walking in front of it. See, this is one of those moves that you can't do like in a pug randomly because someone might just swing on you. But you have the smoke is also... The smoke you throw allows you to get out to mid, but it also allows you to get out, back into CT spawn if you'd like to. Shame that we didn't see that result in a kill. Back to the long cross smokes. And a lurk that comes out of B. All right. Well, he checked for it, but doesn't hit the shot. Singularity win, barely dropping a member. It's basically been stomps both ways, with Tricked winning more rounds without losing players than Singularity, but when they are winning rounds, they're making it look easy. All right, more of a classic position with this like a ton of pressure towards long, and this just sets up Lucky to do whatever he wants. They got a player in pit, they got a player at blue. He's gonna have no anxiety when it comes to holding on to cat. Honestly, he really doesn't need to reinforce this at this point. They've just got so many outs here. But if they don't think there's any threat that's going to come towards cat, then of course he can go and help them out as well. But yeah, there's basically no way for Singularity to win in that position unless they're very lucky and Trick totally mess up. But the setup is just perfect. Like they felt like long was coming. They reinforced it. And here they even rotate out when it makes sense. And now this position on the other side of the door that we see at long is so powerful for one kill. Sometimes it nets you two. Yes, it can be mollied out. Yes, it can be hard cleared or flashed. But if you just need one kill, sometimes a very good spot to be in. So here's Lucky, not wasting any time. As soon as he sees a barrel, just lines up for the body. Grabs that headshot, and there is no chance that you can get a plant down with that many players. All you have to do is send one in at a time. So he didn't get spotted on this play. He's going to do it again. And there's the frag. It does result in a frag. Hey, when they're on his screen, Lucky is popping noggins, as Scrawny would say. He is taking him out instantly. He's definitely not getting beat by anybody. Obviously quite a risky angle to sit in just because of the peek from the door, the peek from top mid. But I like that we're playing for info, not just playing scared, honestly. Honestly, that's like a big thing, right? You can take no risks and get nothing done and then save, or you can take some risks, put yourself in potential jeopardy. Well, that shot actually looked really good. Put yourself in potential jeopardy, but at least have real impact on the game if you do end up winning. I like this POV demo. We've seen Lucky's pretty fast. Op shots have been clean so far. Native opping looks nice. It looks very nice. This is a native op commercial. Some variety in the play. Let's see how far we go with this. I wish I had more context on, Singularity in this moment. We're watching a lot of games at this level. It's such a powerful pick to take. I wish teams at all level do it more often, at least once or twice a half, where you get that op and shovel it into the upper tunnels, take that deep angle where people sit and wait for pushes, and then just post, because pre-flashing that angle doesn't happen very often, if ever. And most other nades are going to go right past you. And on top of that, anybody who peeks you, you have a serious advantage. It is such a CT favored angle with an AWP as an opper in that position. That's the end of the half. That's all I got. We didn't get a single round where it was a full-on cat exec, where Lucky was at the car, where he was there to fight against them. But what we did see was a lot of solid op shots, good job finding gaps, a lot of opening tactics that went well. And let's take a look at, so we can get a little bit more out of this. Let's take a look at Lucky and some of his previous stats and stuff like that. Let me try to characterize what this means for Astralis to pick him up. Again, as not the player who they're trying to call on first, but of course, it still means a lot that he's getting the opportunity because it won't be someone completely random. I heard someone in the chat say he's been smurfing in the Danish Tier 2 scene for a couple of years now. So surely he does have some fans, even if he's not getting to play in the events versus some of the best teams in the world. And we can see he's got, good ratings here across the board, basically in all their events. In the case of the top 5, top 10 teams, no data, but with teams at this level, it's very common that Tier 2, Tier 1 teams will play teams that are below that level or below their level because they don't want to play against teams that they might play against in a tournament, right? So like one of the big stories of 2021 was Gambit. But if you asked pro teams in 2020 about Gambit, they would have told you that Gambit were top 10, Gambit were top 5, because in scrims they were eating everyone alive. They weren't translating that to their official matches a lot, but when Astralis was looking for practice, or any of the other teams in the tier 1 at the time were looking for practice, they were going to look for the strongest tier 2 teams, because they weren't playing Gambit in tournaments. They're playing against G2 in tournaments. They're playing against Navi in tournaments. So they don't want to go and try to play against G2 and Navi in a practice match and then play against them in an official as well. Of course, you are sometimes practicing against teams you play against, but usually this is how the tier 2 and tier 3 scene gets better, is by scrimming against some of the better teams that don't want to play against each other. So we have no data on how good Lucky is when it comes to playing against teams of that upper echelon, but we do know there's obviously promise here. And I don't know. I did see kind of a clean, kind of composed. I didn't see too many risks. I saw a lot of confidence in the angles that he was taking. A couple of good flicks here and there. There's so much to be learned, but some of these games, I mean, the only problem is that probably the hardest thing to do when you level, I mean, maybe IGLing, but honestly, the most intimidating thing for me would be the idea of opping at a tier above the tier that I'm used to. Is this idea that you can only be so prepared to do when you play at the tier 1. If you try to get op picks at the tier 1, like look at Nico trying to op. You know what I mean? Nico, an insane player who knows everything about all the top teams. People are scared of him. Look at him try to op. You know, when he just picked up the op, that was not good. That was not good. He was getting beaten out on a new gun by the same teams he would destroy with rifles all the time. So whether it looks easy or not, it's obviously a whole new challenge. And with an op, there's an extra emphasis, right? You've got to be able to have high KPR, low DPR. You got to know when to save. You have to, if you're nervous at all, if you miss your shot, you're dead. There's a lot of pressure that comes along with opping. And then you're playing against teams that are used to playing against Simple, playing against Zywoo, playing against all of the other tier 1 oppers out there. And they are going to be very comfortable to play against some fresh meat, basically, who doesn't know about their flashes or isn't used to their timings. And used to is a big thing, right? You can watch the demos to try to prepare, and that will help. But you still have to get used to it. You have to get used to the feeling of timings. You can't be calculating every single peek you take and every single moment to figure out the exact right decision. You have to be used to it so you can make the intuition play, so you can beat the timing, so you can get the little bit extra. And so that's the thing that I would find to be the most intimidating for an opera coming into tier 1 or going up a tier. But whether he can do it or not is the question. Now, I'm sure they'll give him time. I'm sure there's no one better than Glaive and Sonic to help a player like this out to improve very quickly. And the only thing is that for him is to make sure to stay confident, because I think fake it till you make it is a real thing. He's 18 right now, lots of time left in his career to show and improve. But this is obviously a huge deal to get the call up to Astralis. So congratulations to Lucky to get this opportunity, and we'll follow up with a demo on Lucky once he starts playing on the team, and then see maybe we could do a lucky or godlike, right? Or an unlucky or bad. One of those, like we used to, unlucky when the time is right. An opportunity, yes. Okay. Thanks for watching, and we'll follow up. If you find another game from Lucky you want me to watch, we'll do that. For the meantime, we're going back. We're going to do Zipix and then a couple of others. And that's it. Hope you have a good day.